So now we're going to do 21st century college football stories. And we finally made it to the double-digit subscriber mark. So that's pretty nice. Alright, so Toledo in 2000, they upset Penn State to begin the season. They would lose their first conference game to Western Michigan. They would win their last 7 games, but they were not able to make the bowl season. In 2001, they would win their first 5 games, then lose to Ball State. They would win 3 more before losing to Bowling Green. They still made the MAC championship against Marshall, and they beat them. And they would end up being ranked 25th, and they would play against Cincinnati in the Motor City Bowl. And they would end up winning by a touchdown in that game. The very next year, they win their first 2 games, then lose their next 2 out of 3. But they would win their last 6 games out of 7 to make the MAC championship against Marshall again. But this time they lose. Marshall wins. They still go to the Motor City Bowl against Boston College this time. And Boston College is going to win that one. In 2003, they win their first 3 games out of 4. And they won 5 out of their last 8, which is not good enough to make the bowl season as a MAC team. In 2004, they lost their first 2 games, won 8 games of their last 9. They beat Miami, Ohio by a touchdown in the MAC championship. And they would advance to the Motor City Bowl against UConn, and they would lose. In 2005, they won 6 of their first 7 games, then lose 2 of their last 4 to advance to the GMAC Bowl against UTEP, and they would win that game. In 2006, they started out 2-6, and then they would win 3 of their last 4 games, but that's 5 wins, so they did not qualify for a bowl game. In 2007, they lost their first 3 games. They won 2 of their next 4, and 3 of their last 5, which is still 5 wins, not good enough to qualify. 2008, and they started 1-4, and then finished 2-5, which is even worse, and not good enough to qualify. In 2009, they lose 2 of their first 3 games. They won 3 of their next 4, and then lost 4 of their last 5, meaning they didn't qualify again. Till 2010, they won 3 of their first 4. They would lose their next 2, but they won 5 of their last 6 to make the Little Caesars Bowl against Florida International, FIU. But they would lose that game. Till in 2011, they won 3 of their first 4, and then they would only win, they would win 7 of their last 8. And they would advance on to the Military Bowl against Air Force. And they would win. 2012, they would lose their opening game, then win 8 in a row. They lost 2 of their last 3, but they would still advance to the Idaho Potato Bowl against Utah State. They would lose that game. 2013, they lost 3 of their first 5 games, then win 4 straight. They lost the last 2, so they wouldn't advance to a bowl game that year. But in 2014, they would lose 2 of their first 3, and then they would win 7 of their last 8 games to go to the GoDaddy Bowl against Arkansas State, and they won that game. And 2015 opened off with a huge upset over 18th ranked Arkansas, and it rallied the team, and they would start off 7-0. They would finish the season with a record of 9-2 to go on to the Boca Raton Bowl, and there they would beat Temple. And then 2016, they won 6 of their first 7 games, and they would win 3 of their last 5 to go to the Camilla Bowl against Appalachian State, and they would lose that game on a game-winning field goal in the 4th quarter kicked by Appalachian State. 2017, they started 8-1, and they won 2 of their last 3, and they would go to the MAC championship against Akron, and they would win that game, so they would make the Dollar General Bowl against Appalachian State, and they would lose that game too. However, Toledo has been looking more like they were in the early 2000s, making the MAC championship, and things are looking up for Toledo, and they have been recently, so who knows how this year will end, and who knows how Toledo will be doing in their future.